Welcome back, everybody. I am sitting here with Chelsea Camaraza from the Asbury Park Transformative Justice Project. How's it going, Chelsea?
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
I
Going well.
appreciate the masking up that we're doing here. So I guess we'll get right into it. I spoke with Jennifer Lewinsky yesterday, and we had a great conversation about the project. But for the people who might not have caught that, give us a little bit of a rundown of what the Transformative Justice Project does.
Okay, so the Asbury Park Transformative Justice Project seeks to reduce recidivism by supporting formerly incarcerated folks. We provide counseling services, mental health and substance and addiction counseling for folks who need it with our licensed social workers. We provide job training and job placement opportunities through partnerships that we have throughout the community.
That's great.
Folks who enter our services have an opportunity twice a week to take classes. We provide education services and also training for our people that we serve to become leaders in our community.
That's excellent. What kind of, one thing that kind of struck me about that description, you said people come in a couple nights a week to take classes. What kind of classes do you all teach?
Right, so the classes...
Or do you all sponsor?
Yep, thanks. So the classes that we offer are broken down into 3 different categories. We educate formerly incarcerated folks about the injustices of the prison industrial complex and what we view as an unjust criminal justice system. Secondly, we encourage people to participate in transformative justice work, which is engaging in and starting the process of individual and community accountability and healing, by offenders, or they can, heal the harm that they've caused in their community and heal themselves and heal from the trauma of being incarcerated. And then third, we also train folks in becoming empowered leaders so that they can organize against the injustices of the prison system that got them into the prison system in the first place.
I like that a lot, actually. That makes a lot of sense, having people who kind of come out of this system and, there's not really, our system is kind of built on these punitive measures, not on these rehabilitative ones. So you find a lot of the time that when somebody comes out of the system, I don't want to say they don't know what to do, but there isn't really a path forward. They find that their voting rights have been taken away. They find that their ability to build credit has been compromised. They find that their ability to get a job is either compromised or many cases non-existent. And so it's kind of, I feel like it's very smart to have a place that not only helps them build back that stuff, but also teach them the why about that. Why can't I, why am I having such a hard time? Because when I talked to Jennifer about this, I said, shouldn't it be that if you've been released from prison and you've kind of paid your debt to society, as they say, that's it, you're done. Your punishment, so to speak, is over. That's really, really important.
Right.
To have stuff like that.
Right. So the carceral logic and the punitive angle of, the way that we view a crime and rehabilitation really does not rehabilitate offenders. And you're exactly just like you said. There really isn't a connection between being incarcerated and committing crimes. It doesn't prevent crime. It doesn't heal the community who's been harmed by the crime or the offense. It doesn't heal the person who has committed the offense. Incarceration really doesn't doesn't do what we put our faith as a society in the system to do. It doesn't do it. It doesn't work.
And it feels like just this continuous cycle, because I mean, as I was preparing for this, I found out that the United States has a recidivism rate, and that is, for people unfamiliar with the term, that's for people who come out of jail and then go back. Of 68%. So that's, almost 7 out of 10 former inmates become future inmates once more.
Yeah. New Jersey actually has a much lower rate. As a whole, statewide.
Yeah.
But Asbury Park is a little bit closer to the national average.
And it's these programs that you feel will kind of help balance that out some more, no?
Yeah, we're putting our plan into action. One of the things that we like to say is that people are not the worst thing that they've ever done.
Yeah.
And so we're really, we're trying to do the work so that we can have an alternative to the system that doesn't work, instead of, locking people up and throwing away the key and sort of like banishing and expelling our brothers and sisters and siblings and friends and loved ones from our community. We're shifting the focus from, individual responsibility to community responsibility, community accountability, and we're going to hold, people who have harmed our community accountable and provide them the opportunity to, heal themselves and heal the community, and also give them the space, give them the time and place to really seek their own liberation, take the time to, find a job, do an accountability process, get training, get healing, heal from the trauma of being incarcerated.
So now the original intent of just the American prison system, what was it? It was set up by Quakers as a rehabilitative, as a sort of rehabilitative institution. How far away are we from that? Or rather, how far away do you think we are from being able to get back to something like that? Because right now we have the highest
prison population in
in
the
entire world.
Yes, we sure do. So that's a great question. Thank you. I guess referring to the Quakers, yes, it's true that our current model of, placing people in prison, as a form of rehabilitation was created by Quakers. But pretty much as soon as that model was tried out for the first time, they realized that it actually didn't work and tried to do away with it. And so the original intent, it never really worked to serve the purpose of reducing harm, reducing crime. It actually never worked, and we're just, decades and generations later, still working with something that the people who initially created it realized that it didn't work pretty much right after they started it.
Once they found out they could make money off of it.
Yep. So that's a whole other conversation that we talk about. That's some of the education that we provide about for-profit prison, and that's a conversation that needs to be had as well.
Yeah, that's something that I think doesn't always occur to people, like just the general population. I think people just say most people don't necessarily differentiate between state prison, federal prison, private, for-profit prisons, things like that, that there's such a disparity within the disparity in the system.
Yeah, absolutely. Just the fact that there's a financial incentive for our nation to keep people incarcerated.
Yeah.
It's, someone's lining their pockets by having people incarcerated. So that's something that we can't shy away from. That's real.
Now let's talk about what we are specifically fundraising for, because obviously people can go to WeStarProductions.co/donate. and make a donation to the Asbury Park Transformative Justice Project, but what specifically are we here for today?
So we are currently fundraising for, we're looking to purchase a house in Asbury Park so that we can provide free housing to our guests of the Asbury Park Transformative Justice Project. So we want to, that's ultimately our long-term goal. We want to provide free housing for folks, leaving the prison system, because that's one of the main obstacles to, everything that leads to returning to prison. Homelessness. If you can't find a job, you can't pay for a roof over your head. Homelessness in and of itself is criminalized. It's a crime to be, without a home, unfortunately.
Which is crazy, because there's no, that's a whole other conversation, but that's a near continuous cycle in and of itself. And I didn't realize that it's actually a crime to be homeless.
Sure.
That's true?
The homeless are criminalized all over the United States. If you are a houseless person and you're just trying to survive and set up camp in the elements, across the nation, homeless camps are swept up and people are just tossed in jail. So that's our main fundraising goal right now. We need a house. We want a house. We want to provide housing, safe, intentional housing for our brothers and sisters and siblings, so that it will just further increase the benefits of our program.
Yeah, just think about that, giving somebody a permanent address. Somebody having a permanent address, a place to call home, not only is, just kind of a personally empowering thing, but in addition, that's also economically empowering for them, because now they've got this permanent address. They've got basically something that we put down on a job application.
Exactly. You can't get a driver's license without an address. You can't get a driver's license with a P.O. box. You can't get a bank account without an address.
It's a it's almost the first step toward re-legitimizing yourself once you're back in society. Because without that permanent address, so many other things can't happen.
Yeah, and to have that basic need, that basic human need of shelter, to have that covered, which we're all entitled to by virtue of being born, by the way. We shouldn't have to pay our way and prove that we're worthy of shelter, but that is, how it is, unfortunately, right now. To have that basic human need covered allows you to actually actively engage in the community accountability process, which we're doing.
Yeah, and that's really important.
So, and that's the purpose of what rehabilitation is supposed to be in the first place.
Yeah. So I want to talk about something that I just personally, just kind of in my research, I feel like this has gone vastly underreported. So from March until May, the ACLU conducted a study on the United States' 29 largest cities, and they released their results on July 22nd. If you want to look it up, the study is called Decarceration and Crime During COVID-19. And the briefest summary I can provide for it is the reduction, and this is a direct quote from the ACLU, the reduction in jail population was functionally unrelated to crime trends in the following 2 months. So, the long and short of that is they studied 29 cities. They found that in 28 of the 29 cities, like an overwhelming majority, the release of prisoners didn't spike any type of rise
any uptick
in
crime. Right, exactly. Yeah, like you said, there has been some compassionate release of inmates due to the coronavirus to try to reduce, the transmission. Prisons are like a hotbed, petri dish for infection, and so.
Oh yeah,
like
there were 50,000 inmates out of the 2 million current inmates we have incarcerated that caught COVID-19.
Yeah, getting incarcerated right now is kind of a death sentence with COVID.
Yeah.
So, and like you said, to go back to your point about that study, there has been some compassionate release of some folks, and that didn't affect crime. Crime didn't go up. We have prisoners released from prison, people who society tells us needed to be removed from our communities for our safety. They've been reintroduced to our communities, and crime has not gone up. And so that really just strengthens our case that what the criminal justice system claims to do, which is to increase public safety, isn't doing that.
Yeah.
And that we need an alternative.
Yeah.
We need an alternative to the carceral logic of the system that we've got going on right now. And actually, I can, if you don't mind, can I plug, like, I can do a little segue to another upcoming project. Yeah, it's a perfect segue into something else we're working on.
Yeah, that was actually going to be my very next question. Talk about some of the new projects that you have going on.
Thank you so
Please,
much.
please.
So on the horizon is our community public safety units, and anyone interested can visit our website, aptransformativejustice.org. And the community public safety units we're going to be providing training for anyone who's interested, anyone who lives in Asbury Park, anyone who has a connection and is invested in this community. A lot of folks go to church in Asbury Park, but don't necessarily live here. But anyone who is committed to Asbury Park, we're calling out to you to please volunteer. We're training folks in nonviolent de-escalation tactics, mental health crisis response, just overall anti-oppression training, and working with social workers. And what we're trying to do is create a network within our community so that people can put the call out to respond to nonviolent emergency situations as an alternative to calling the police. Call your neighbors instead of the police. The police are preying upon our community. They're not keeping us safe. We can keep ourselves safe. We in Asbury Park can do that for ourselves. There's power in the people.
Yeah, that's a really great message, because that also creates, I think that when you have an engaged community like that, that also creates a level of accountability, because and especially in Asbury Park, like such a tight-knit community where everybody knows everybody, it's having that level of community accountability, it could be a smart way to, I don't want to say like skirt around the police necessarily. Like, I don't want to say like, oh yeah, well that's a good way to get around it. But just knowing that every neighbor is, like everybody's just looking next door.
Yeah.
You're at your house, you're looking next door. They're at their house, they're looking next door. Every neighbor's watching out for one another. And, pretty soon, like, that kind of gets the word out that, what this community watches out for each other. This community will not accept any type of, criminal behavior from its community members or the people that are assigned to protect those people, and may or may not be kind of completing that mission the way they ought to.
I'm so glad you said that, because that really is the truth.
Now, do you think that a measure like that would influence the way law enforcement does its work? Like, if they see the community kind of just coming together and, maybe for lack of a better term, policing itself, or at least kind of everybody watching out for everybody and everybody kind of keeping that tight-knit sort of watch over one another?
So I think we can...
How do you think that could influence the community, like a sort of community police measure.
Right. So we can really lead that initiative. You know, on the national and the worldwide stage of public discourse right now, we have defund the police going around as a slogan. And
Now, for people who aren't 100% on what that means, let's just, because that's a very powerful slogan. Explain to people
Right.
what that, what that is if they're not 100%
Well,
sure.
Thanks. Yeah. So we just need the resources to go into our communities where we need, like, that will decrease crime. Pumping more money into militarization doesn't decrease crime. Investing in education, housing, healthcare, mental health care, substance abuse and addiction counseling, those are the things that reduce crime. So it's a call for an investment in resources that empower and really do increase public safety within our communities. And the thing you said about all of your neighbors, knowing your neighbors, that is so true, what you said.
Yeah.
For decreasing the risk in your community, for police brutality incidents, and for really holding each other accountable. That's what transformative justice is. It's, we know you, we love you, we want you to do good. If you harm us, we're not going to kick you to the curb. We're going to hold you accountable if we're going to make it right.
Yeah, because isn't that kind of, if you think about sort of almost like the romanticized view of, people talk about, back like the way it used to be, so to speak. Isn't that kind of part of what it was about? Like everybody said, yeah, we had this nice community. We all looked out for each other. Everybody knew their name. And, even a situation where, you had a cop on the beat that talked to the people, that engaged with the people, that, knew everybody's name and had maybe had a good system where they worked with the community,
Yeah,
in
that's
concert,
a safe community.
not in parallel.
Yep, that's a safe community.
Yeah, that is.
Knowing your
then,
neighbors.
Because then people also then aren't afraid to go to, a police, a law enforcement officer, and kind of share their story and share their experience, because they know, like I said, maybe they know that person's name then. Like that feels like
Right.
kind of bringing it back to almost demilitarizing and putting a greater emphasis on the community through a lot of those efforts you said you want to try to do with the Justice Project, with mental health care and
Right, having a
social
mental
services.
illness should not be
Shouldn't be a crime.
criminalized.
Yeah,
So.
and I mean I think about that too. Like if you had, if you have somebody who, I even think about like the venues in the area. If you have a person who comes into a venue, and who's homeless, who might be mentally ill, and you don't know, what to do. Like they're not asking for anything; they're just there, and it's not that they don't deserve to be there or anything, but you just don't know what to do. Like you don't. Like calling the police shouldn't be an option.
It's not the solution, if need be, but it's not the solution. Calling the police is not the solution because it doesn't help you, the community. It doesn't help that person, and it's placing this person into an unjust and oppressive and traumatic institution that is not equipped to address the matters at hand. Mental health is not. It has nothing to do with being incarcerated. And in fact, being incarcerated causes mental health problems. And so, with our community safety, public safety units, if someone's having a mental health issue, just imagine being able to call your friends, your neighbors, someone that you know from your community who's been trained, someone who either is a licensed social worker or has been trained with a licensed social worker to be able to respond in a way and de-escalate instead of calling the police, which could potentially lead to an escalation of violence, which just further fractures and tears apart our communities.
Yeah. Now, are we... So what's, I guess, I'm not sure what the next move is here, because I hear the band starting to get ready.
I
so
know.
I'm not sure.
I'm so excited.
I'm
Make
not sure what our move is here. What's that? That's fine. How you tell us, because I'm trying to think. Like, I heard the band warming up, and I said, "Oh, should we
wrap it up?
Should we wrap up or?" Okay.
Thank you, and thank you everybody for tuning in. There's a sort of like a contest going on, I think, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, while we're here, let's at least remind people, and I do have one or two more questions for you regarding the project, so don't worry about that. I just wasn't sure if anybody, you hear the band kind of kicking in, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to.
Thank you. Thanks for staying on point.
Oh, yeah, no, hey, that's why we're here. So first, I want to encourage everybody to vote for your favorite band to win a live session and a music video. You can go to westarproductions.co/vote now. And that's, of course, the performer we just saw, Pamela Flores, the band we're about to see, the new Soul Rebellion, and tonight's closing act, Green Knuckle Material. And, of course, the reason we're here in the first place, the Asbury Park Transformative Justice Project. You can go to aptransformativejustice.org and you can find out all about their mission statement, what we've been talking about the last couple minutes. And you can also go to westarproductions.co, not .com, .co/donate, and all of the proceeds will go directly to the Transformative Justice Project as well.
Thank you so much, and thank you for your support. I just want to remind folks who are tuning in that if you visit aptransformativejustice.org, there you'll find our contact information. If you are interested in volunteering and signing up for training for our community public safety units, you can also contact us if you're interested, if you or anyone you know who wants to participate in the Transformative Justice Project trainings. Any folks, friends and family, or yourself have been through the prison system and want to take advantage of our services that we offer. And also, of course, you can visit our website to donate so that we can reach our goal of buying our house for our brothers and sisters and siblings in Asbury.
How close are we to the goal?
I think we're getting there.
Okay.
So we'll see after tonight.
So when you say volunteer too, what type? So if somebody wants to, if someone goes to aptransformativejustice.org and they, check out all the information and they want to volunteer, what are a person's options? Like somebody, like someone like me, I have no experience with criminal justice, with the justice system, anything like that, just your lay person. What kind of volunteer options are there for people who want to get involved? Right.
So that's an awesome question, because I guess I'm sort of a lay person. I mean, I do like lots of community organizing surrounding issues like this outside of this organization. But, as far as being considered a lay person, working directly with formerly incarcerated folks, you do need to have experience, like as either a social worker or have experience working with people who are currently incarcerated or formerly incarcerated. But as a lay person, you can help us with fundraising. If I can share my personal story, I was doing the research. I wanted to make a commitment to my community.
Yeah, this was a New Year's resolution for you, right? You just said, how can I resolve to help my community more?
Before we went live, I was given my little own personal backstory.
That's a great story, though.
Yeah, so I don't have experience working with folks who are incarcerated or leaving the criminal justice system, but I do, and I also don't have personally any way to monetarily contribute or donate, but what I do have is time and energy and a willingness to make a change and a commitment to my community. And so I reached out, and the founders of our organization will welcome you and will find a place for you. I'm here tonight, and this is my contribution, my time and my energy, and among other things. So we need all hands on deck because we have a community to save, and we have our people to save, and we have liberation to gain.
Well, Chelsea Camaraza, I really appreciate you coming on and talking all about the Asbury Park Transformative Justice Project with us. Really, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
This
It's
has
been
great.
awesome. Likewise.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. So